Greetings, Mindcrafters, and welcome to another Minecraft episode. My name is Kimberly Quinn, your hostess with the mostest, and I've got little Giovanni, the golden retriever, right here on the floor. And today we want to talk about, he's taking a little napper right there. Right now, we want to talk about priming for inspiration, because inspiration is not something that can be forced, at least not for me. So, creating on demand is not a thing. I don't care what job it is. I don't care how much you're being paid. You can still get paid a ton and be creative. Absolutely, obviously. But to just think you can just somebody can just like say create this now. You have an hour. It might work. You might get lucky, and it might. But the thing is, we have to have certain things in place. And I think most people, maybe not all people, most people would say we've got to limit the distractions. Definitely for the fast minders, for sure, and to have that element of quiet, and but not just the noise thing, but also to visually to simplify, to have a very simple atmosphere, a simple, comfortable atmosphere, and then of course turning off all the tech. If you have an old school landline like we do, unplug it, right? That's rung on a few episodes in the past. I just kind of let it ring. But when I remember, I try to unplug it. And currently, well, I'm thinking of Sarah Brednick again, just slightly, because I just kind of actually uh, just was reading something, and it's actually the inspiration topic really that I just kind of owe her today, because partially actually because little Giovanni and I are headed out to the woods. I don't want to say it too loudly, because if I say WALK, he knows the word. He's going to want to go right now. Because I felt like I've had a busy head all day with so much, and so it kind of rolls into, I'm probably going to do a video out there too, because when we have a busy mind, that is not you know, often the time that it's easy to say, I think I'll go meditate now, or to just try to, make the way for those creative juices. It's really, really tough. And so I thought I would start today. And then what does she say here? Sarah Von Brednick starts with Mary Webb, she quotes, and she says, the well of providence is deep. It's the buckets we bring to it that are small. That is kind of how I'm feeling today. And I am a card carrying member of the Creative Club. And I will humbly say today that my head has been so busy. And so I thought this actually might be a good time to talk about this, because it's very important to me that I walk the talk. Is that how it goes? Yeah. And so I'm actually headed out to the woods to calm my mind, because this morning, and my husband even said something to me. Gee, you've been on that computer a lot. And the reason is, in addition to the other things I do, I'm also writing a book. And I just said to him, one more sentence. And I realized, you know what? I did get that proposal out this morning. It's time to put it all away. And if we're going to have a quiet mind, be in the moment, enjoying our life minutes now, there's a time when we just have to shut it all down. And certainly, if we plan on being creative and inspired, we've got to shut it down for a while. Because I know for me out in the woods, it comes pretty quickly in the woods, to be truthful. But the point is, we've got to set the stage for it. We can't just say, you turn it on and off like a faucet. If you've had a busy head day like I've had today, it's going to take me a little while in the woods to really be with the trees, be with the snowflakes. The snow is coming down like nuts, to really reopen, first of all, calm my mind down and reopen all of the creative channels by just breathing this beautiful winter air and just taking it all in with little G. And that's it. That's what we're talking about today. So Sarah Von Brednick, she's also in my friend circle and not aware, but I would love to have lunch with her someday. She talks about when she prepares to write, because writing fills her up and over the top, just like it does for me. I've got a few avenues. I love to write. It's actually my husband's idea to write the book I've started. I'm just the thing is, I get in the ADHD zone. I don't like the word, or that's actually not word, the initials of that, or the letters of that. I prefer to say Fast Mind Club. However, that is probably the biggest gift of the Fast Mind Club, is our creativity and her ability to innovate. And so when I get into when there's a shiny new object, and for now it's my book, I get in the ADHD hyperfocus or fast mind hyperfocus, and I literally the juices flow so fast. I just can't. It's very hard to break out of that. So that's what I'm dealing with today. So anyway, whenever I prepare to write, she says she has this routine or ritual. She carefully she brings comfort to herself, which makes the writing kind of flow out of her. So she does something I couldn't do, but again, we all have our own routines. She talks about working from her bed with a fresh pot of tea. Now that I can do. And she has a bedside table. And then she says, because this is her book, day book, or Simple Abundance. I love it. She talks about using a tape, which kind of dates it because I don't think anybody has tapes anymore. But let's say a beautiful piano music that she likes that plays softly in the background. Now, that is important to talk about for creativity too. Personally, I like quiet and I do my very best work in nature. I don't bring my computer. I don't know if I've ever brought my computer out there, actually. I don't think ever. I just kind of keep it all in my head. Then when I come back to the house, it's quiet with just G and I here, and it just pours out of me. But I did write my first book in my kid's treehouse, though, honestly, with a pen and a paper. Um, because back then I really needed to dive still the pen and the paper thing, which I still do sometimes. And then she says, so she's in her bed with a like I guess like a TV tray is what I would think of it like when you're not well even you put that over you. That think that's what she's talking about. And fresh pot of tea. I'm with her on the tea thing. And then next to me, she said she's got her spiral notebook and some of her favorite pens. Well, that's important too because you've got to have the whole situation be inviting. So if you've got, I like gel pens. I like just how they feel when you write with them because they're so smooth. They just kind of have that. I don't know. I just like them. How they are. What do I say? Like sensory wise, I like them. And then she talks about she's not alone because she's got her beloved women writers, each of whom has an authentic voice and a special message for her, she says. And then she has a writing ritual, which is what she refers to as priming the pump for inspiration. And I, I don't know that I don't know that I have a ritual like she does, but I'll tell you, there's some things that have to be in play for me to write. And now that I'm writing, I guess it's my fourth book, and I'm so into it. That's why it's hard to even like. My husband waited for a while last night for dinner. I'm like, one more thing, one more thing. The quiet is definitely a thing. And if there's music, which I don't put on much when I'm actually writing, if I'm doing something different, I used to decoupage chairs, which I had so much fun doing. I could have classical music on, but the thing is, if you're going to create, you want to make sure you have music on that doesn't have words because I've explained this to my Minecrafters a lot. If you're studying or whatever you're trying to do that involves your brain power, you want acoustical music on because the brain does not shut off 24/7, which I'm sure you all know. So it's kind of like in the example I give them, if you're listening to music with words, even if it's, let's say, like James Taylor and it's calming, you're still hearing the words. So if I were to put a stop sign in front of you and said, "Don't read it," you can't do that, right? Because your brain automatically reads it. Well, it's not different with music with words. So it's out of the 100% of attention you can possibly give to your artistic endeavor. Um, you're gonna give a percentage away, even if it's feels like you're not, because 'cause you're busy painting, whatever you're doing. You're gonna give a percentage away to your brain trying to make associations with the word. It might be positive. Listening to John Denver, it's making you think of a retreat you went on and all the fun people and all the good feelings and all that stuff. But especially if it involves I guess painting's a little bit different. It would still take it still takes some cognitive energy away from you, but anything that would involve, cognitive competition, you don't wanna do, which reading or writing, because 'cause you're trying to read, you're trying to write, it's gonna take it's gonna take some cognitive juice away from you just because the brain is naturally making associations while you're doing whatever you're doing. So, Sarah, when she talks about the pump of inspiration, she actually gives us a visual here. She says when you have to pump water from a well the old-fashioned way by hand, you need to pour a pitcher of water down the pump to get it going. And she talks about she says I prime my personal pump in a very particular way because the repetitiveness of the process activates the right side of my brain, where creativity dwells. She says she uses the same blue willow mug for tea, listens to the same music, she writes with the same type of pens and notebooks, and rereads the same books. Okay, that's a lot of, well, the brain likes repetitions. There's a lot to be said for that. The instantly recognizable ritual informs my brain that I am now working. Now that is good. And actually it's related but different. During the Rona virus, when I was in all kinds of Rona related episodes, and people are having a hard time getting up in the morning to do remote work and a hard time going to sleep at night because with being remote and all the structure that was in place was no longer there. This sounds like, where's she going with this? Well, it actually is very related because a lot of people didn't realize how routine they were until the virus hit. And so the brain needs a very clear signal when the day is almost over with the wind down routines. Like it's dinner, then maybe, it's a hot bath and a glass of wine and it's reading a book in bed, whatever. And the wake up routine might be an alarm set to music, newspaper. For me, it's a gratitude journal right out of the gate, hot tea. That we need that stuff. So how it fits with Sarah's pumping the well for inspiration is that she said it. Her brain knows it's time to write now. It's time to write. It's time to be creative. And the more she enforces that, she's writing every day or most days, or change it to your own life at whatever it is you get up and do, whether you're getting up to write a gratitude journal, you're getting up to write a book, you're getting up to plan a new business, you're getting up to work on some artistic project, you're drawing the plans for your new house, whatever. um the more you keep that consistent, doesn't have to be exactly at 7:15 every day, but if it's, you need to be in the range of that. If you're going to prime your brain to think now is the time to create, now is the time to work, now is the time to build, whatever. That is actually, from a psychological perspective, a very good strategy that Sarah has going there. And we've talked about the divine connection a lot, whether, for me it's God, whether for you it's source or higher power or the universe. For Sarah, it's spirit. And she talks about this. Um, she says, before I realize it, I'm jotting down notes as if I'm taking dictation from spirit with a capital S. When I've got a rough draft written in longhand, I head into my office to work on the computer. Then the real writing begins. Once again, I've coaxed inspiration to helping me through the power of ritual. So we talked about that being a real brain thing. And it's true because the brain loves, loves, loves repetition, which also we've talked in different ways that can be negative, right? If we're allowing the same old what if thinking, catastrophizing, that becomes a ritual too. But in this positive sense, she's paving the way. So she starts out with getting her ideas in a very relaxed way with her tea in bed, with a little bed tray, and just sort of it being very mindful and taking it in and getting inspired from the women writers that she's into. And then she gets up and she means business and goes into her office where I assume there's a desk and all that stuff where you're sitting up. The brain is getting, okay, I just got my inspiration in a relaxed, mindful way. What a great way to start the day. And now we're working. Brain says, I get it. We are working. And speaking of the divine connection thing, I'm pretty sure I have her book somewhere. I've brought up, I think it's Julia Cameron. I think her name is Julia Cameron. She's the author of The Artist's Way. And I was reading that, I think, way back when I was writing my first book, which I think was 2003 or so. It's like basically roughly 20 years ago. And she's good with the writer's block and all that. But, she's also a believer in, the divine connection and the whole creative thing coming from source or the universe or however you choose to label it. And one thing I remember that really stuck with me, I'm really pulling this out of my head now. I haven't read it for decades. I remember how it really stayed with me because, the divine connection is constantly, we are balls of energy. Like Wayne Dyer says, we're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. So think of J.K. Rowling and the brilliance there. All of that came from someplace. Or think of all the inventions and Leonardo da Vinci and all of that cognitive, inventing, innovating, creativity came from somewhere. That, or let's say the person maybe not as well known, but writes a brilliant children's book, and the illustrator does the illustrations for her. All of that is coming from the creator of all things. And it just is. It's flowing through all of us. And so I remember Julia Cameron talking about, if you're really putting it out there that, You wanna write that next children's book. You wanna write the play. You wanna paint the canvas. You wanna become, the sculptures, the pick with designing the house, an interior designer. You wanna start your interior design business because you just all you wake up thinking about what to do with the living room, what to do with the bedroom. You're in a friend's house and you don't wanna say anything because "Wow, what I could do if you just left for 3 days and came back. You wouldn't even believe what I could do in here." That kind of thing, where your heart's on fire for this creativity. And Julia Cameron very pointedly says, when the green lights, as my friend Tom would say, and also Matt McConaughey, you want to run with that. That is that is a creator of all things saying, "Here you go. You asked to write a children's book. You asked to start an interior design business. You asked to write with the whatever. You asked to direct a play, and here you go. The door just opened for you." So the thing is, she says, and I'm paraphrasing because it was like 20 years ago, but she talks about you can only shut the door so much on spirit because the spirit's going to say, "Okay, fine. I'll find somebody else who can write Harry Potter then if J.K. Rowling didn't answer the phone." You know what I mean? And so it's very, very important to realize that. So how that fits with Sarah Von Bresnik is how even though inspiration comes to us, she very deliberately set the stage for it to show up. And that is the part that I think is important for us to understand because we are all creative beings. It'll look different with whoever's doing whatever because we're all unique. That all of us, every single one of us, walking electrons, balls of energy, are loaded with creativity. So her whole routine there is a really good one to listen to. And though mine sort of is void of structure. I'm just big on the quiet, and that's I'm very big on the quiet, no technology other than what I have to do with the obviously the microphone's on, but other than that, I'm looking out the window at the snow and also the fireplace. My thing is quiet, but the whole thing is pave the way, set the stage, and then answer the phone when the creator says, "Here you go. Make it great." And that's it. This is Kimberly Quinn signing off from the beautiful, very contemplative, very serene northern Vermont. Have a mild, yeah, there you go. Have a mild, and very mindful, happy day.